was seated near my window and looking outside, and it was snowing. And that's the first time I had a voice, like someone speaking at the back of my mind and saying, where I'm going to take you next, your dreads will be irrelevant. Whenever I'm ministering, I tell people I've heard of Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Shammah, El Shaddai, but I've never heard of Jehovah Teke. You know? And church is the bride of Christ. It's not your bride. You have your own bride. So take care of your bride. And Christ will take care of
his bride.
Kila mtu ashughulikie bibi yake.
Yeah.
Because what I always say is whenever you don't find an opportunity, use that time to build your capacity. So that when the opportunity comes, you are ready. I can say, oh Lord, look at them. Some of them are wearing midiras. Jogg C means people of, and then C would stand for Christ.
Oh, Jogg in Luo.
Yeah, 20 kids cannot play together for 20 years. Which means at some point in life, everybody will have to take their own route.
Path. When you guys released that song, I remember going back home and playing that song. You guys cried like a baby.
Whoa.
Because I was like, it was that moment I decided, I have no plan B. Nampenda Bwana na sibadilisha.
Yeah.
Wasiwa kujua kitupata kwa story zetu, whatever it is that we're talking about, waingie tu hapo tukiendelea. Tupate tukienda. Yeah.
Fiti.
Hii ndio kwa form ya hizi conversations. But leo ningetaka mazee pia tuweze kuangazia stories za like from a gospel music perspective, where we were.
Yes.
Ukiangalia mahali vitu ziko saa hizi. Kwa sababu umekuwa this for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe wasiona zisema Lenah si msanii saa hizi. Lakini they do not know the input umekuwa nayo kwa hii. Na musema there are those people who lay foundation, us guys are just building on that foundation.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, unfortunately ni kwa sisi jaribu kuondoka from that foundation, we start laying another foundation.
Which I mean, it's too much work.
It's not easy, man.
Yeah.
Wanna how the sacrifices also I make.
They have no idea. They have no idea, man.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you ukiangalia hata like most of the people who are now saying they are going for school missions, they don't know how hard it was to get into those schools.
Bro.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I mean, you can imagine you're coming with a bunch of guys, all of them have dreads.
Yeah.
You're wearing t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah.
And then you're confessing Christ.
Alafu tuko na earrings.
Uko na earrings.
Yeah. Ukumbuka hata nikukumbusha ile tulienda Nax.
Yes. I always tell guys that story and they don't believe it. It was Nakuru Boys ama it was
It was not Nakuru Boys. Ilikuwa chuo fulani, ilikuwa karibu na Shabe.
Yes.
And so mukumbuka ilikuwa karibu na Afraha.
Yes.
Afraha Stadium.
Yeah.
And so tulikuwa tumeenda missions for a weekend.
Yeah.
So tumeenda Egerton University, ilikuwa kali sana.
I mean, we were doing ism around whatever, yes.
And nakumbuka tukienda Egerton University at that time. Ilikuwa hiyo mission ilikuwa za imani.
I know. I tell guys, nowadays, you guys are abusing the grace.
Yeah.
This is an abuse of grace. Imagine those days, I mean, we would even go, you don't even know how we are going to come back, what we are going to eat.
Yeah. Na tunaishia tu.
Tuende tukahubiri.
Mimi kumbuka tulienda number 5 alive.
Yes.
Tulikunywa juice tukachoka.
I know.
Because that was the only drink.
Now the 5 alives, I think they were from another event, so they had
zilikuwa zimebaki.
Bana.
I was trying to remember the name of that lady alitukamanizo majuo.
Yeah.
But tulienda Egerton weekend, hiyo Friday.
Yeah.
Saturday night tukaenda chuo fulani, ilikuwa karibu na Kaberere High School.
Yeah.
Prince alikuwa na resist. Alikuwa na resist sana, lakini akasema wacha tu niwapatie chance.
Let me allow you.
But then she ended up falling in love with us. She was like, man, you guys should come back over and over.
Yeah.
Sunday asubuhi ndio tukaenda hii chuo.
Yes.
Sasa unaweza pata na masaibu hiyo chuo.
Yeah. I think I'm not so sure, but I think it's the school you're talking about when we were backstage.
So tumeanza kufanya huduma vipoa.
Yes.
Mimi nimeintroduce, tumeweza ku DJ.
Yes.
Ken Ford ndiye alikuwa MC. Alafu yeye alikuwa hype man sasa hizi.
Yes.
Samu ako backstage na Kera.
Yeah. Ametoa
earrings. Alikuwa
anazipanguza. Then I think the guy was the CU patron.
Yeah, the lady was the CU patron.
Yes. Mazee aliingia hapo akaona jo dreads and these guys, I mean, they are not even. And then unaona ile sura ya Samu by then.
Yeah.
Huwezi believe jamaa ameokoka. Of course, atizi tuko na sura nzuri. But you know there is a way Samu angekuangalia hivi. Unajua yenyewe kama sio Yesu hapa singefanya nini. There's a vibe. So this guy, I mean, the lady comes in and finds Samu and a clean the studs, the earrings. Because the mission has just started.
Kera is backstage.
Kera is backstage. All the artists are there, maze. Wacha anze kuomba.
Backstage akaanza kuomba backstage. Mimi niko on stage.
Akaanza kuomba.
Mimi niko na Ken. Siwezi sahau ngoma nilikuwa nacheza kuja kustopisha.
Oh really?
Nilikuwa nacheza upendo wa Yesu ni wa ajabu. Ile nani?
Upendo wa Yesu ni wa
students wameimba hiyo ngoma.
Yes.
Sikia ngoma inasema nini?
Yes.
Upendo wa Yesu ni upendo wa ajabu. So Ken hapo mzee na pia student pigeni makofi.
Yes.
Nikacheki mode ameingia on stage.
Yes. You know, before that, when we were backstage, she gets in and finds Samu anatengeneza, anapanguza ma-earrings.
Yeah.
Now, yani kwanza sijui alifilaje. Because, of course, the other thing also people don't understand is what we were doing was the first of its own kind.
It was very new.
It was very new.
Yeah.
Even now, you know, I see like a lot of guys go to school and they do the worship with the DJing.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't understand that we didn't have an option of having worshipers and having the instruments and stuff like that. We didn't have that privilege because it was too costly.
Yeah.
So we had to come up with an idea of how can we still run the ministry effectively. And that's how, I mean, you'd play worship on the turntables and people would worship.
Yeah.
You'd play praises.
Na wase wanaimba.
And it was so powerful.
Yeah.
So a lot of people adapt it as a shortcut, but they don't know how it came.
Yeah.
Now back to that story, the lady comes in and sees what Samu is doing, looks at all of us, and then she says, let us pray. So as guys, we are like, okay, let's pray because the mission has started.
Yeah.
Kumbe sio hiyo. Akaanza, oh Lord, look at them. Some of them are wearing midiras. Was it? And then you see backstage, man. Unajua sasa tumehold mikono, we expecting Father use this young man in this generation, do great things. Boss, ni ma rebuke. Asema, oh God, have mercy. Mercy, Lord. Hey, Moz. Satuka hold to. I mean, by the time now she finished, you know, now we are trying to come back to life. We're just trying to think and figure out what has just happened.
Yeah.
Now she walked.
She came on stage now.
Exactly. Yeah. Now to stop the whole...
took the microphone from Ken.
Yes.
And stopped the thing.
Yes.
Akaniambia niache kucheza muziki. Yeah. She asked me to stop playing the music.
Nothing is gonna go on.
Then she took the microphone.
Yeah.
And I think he followed her.
Yes.
She came now and took the microphone.
Yeah.
She talked to the students. She was like, you know, this now, she's addressing the students now.
Yes.
And she says, you know, I went backstage.
Yes.
And I saw some of them cleaning their midiras.
Their midiras, yes.
And I was wondering, surely, did I bite more than I can chew?
She must have been my in-law.
She's my people, for
I
sure.
know, man.
Hiyo mission ikaishia hapo.
Ikaishia hapo, man.
Lakini haukumwachilia.
You know, there was almost going to be a riot.
Oh, because the students started.
Yeah, you remember?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we just had to say, okay, next time we'll come back and Nini. Because I think that those are the only 2 times we had that Nini. The other one was at Starehe. Starehe, there was also something like that. But of course, now the teacher, again, allowed us to continue.
Yeah.
But you see, this one, we were stopped. We had to go. The students are ready. The students resonate with our music. Because they know us.
Oh, man.
And then, you know, they are not from Nairobi. So, because back then, if you're not from Nairobi, it was very hard to make it musically.
Yes.
So, everybody was coming in here. And the radio stations and everything. So, Nakuru had not experienced concerts or having gospel artists going to different regions.
Even in the high school, this was something very fresh and amazing for the students.
Very fresh.
Very refreshing as well.
Yes. So, I mean, that's how we left. But you see now, if you compare that with what is happening now, that's when sometime for me, my heart really bleeds.
Yeah,
my heart really bleeds because, I mean, I don't see the passion, really like the passion for the souls and really going out to mentor these young people and ministering to them and walking with them, because life is a journey.
Yeah,
I see people who are in there maybe for what they can get out of it, and even music.
Yeah,
you see, back then we had people that were passionate. Yani, if it were football, they say you're playing for the badge. Like, as guys, we are gonna do this, whether we are being paid or we are not being paid.
For the badge of Christ.
Exactly. I mean, people would go all out. They would give their all.
Yeah.
And then there was everyone was in the team.
Bro, we used to do everything.
You set up the sound, you carry the speakers, you are the MC, you're
the worship leader.
I mean, so that's something that I think is really lacking. And for me, it really hurts me. It hurts me a lot. And also the content, what we are singing now. You see, people could not understand us then because of the generational gap and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But our content, our music, our lyrics were people that were words that resonated with where people are, and also in reflection to what the Bible, the Word of God says concerning the different aspects.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you listen to a song and someone is trying to force you that this is gospel. You're trying to assume, but your heart is...
you feel it's like there's something missing here.
Your heart is ejecting it. You just feel, bado sana. You know? And then also, you see, a lot of people now came into this maybe for the fame.
Yeah.
As guys, we were just doing what we could do, and we didn't even know that we were famous out there. Yani ilikuwa inakushtua because unapata waseka 10 wanakujua Lenah, unathink...
Ulinjulia wapi?
You understand?
Because we didn't even have TV. We didn't have videos and things like that for people to know us.
Where would you get videos?
Yeah. And the airplay for gospel music was very limited.
Yeah. And even our meetings, you remember very well, it would be, we are meeting at that place you used to take us on Wayaki Way.
Yes, at Oilibia.
Yeah. There was like
a Pizza Inn there.
Pizza Inn, that's it. You know, it would be like, guys, we are meeting at Pizza Inn on Wednesday at this time. Because that had the luxury of having the credit on your phone or something like that. So if we agree, we have agreed.
Yeah.
If we have agreed, we have agreed.
I'm laughing because Airtel was 30 bob per minute.
I know, it was very expensive to make calls.
It was a per minute billing.
Yes.
So, ukipiga simu chukuliwe 30 bob imeenda.
Sasa utapigia na hiyo 30 bob utoe wapi basi?
Safaricom was 29 bob.
Yeah.
But per second billing.
Yes. Because I remember I was telling someone, you know, for me, the first Safaricom line I got is the daughter to my former bishop who gave me the line. Yeah, she just came and said, you know, now he was a bishop, he had traveled, he was so exposed. So he had all these guys who would come and say, Bishop, chukua easy, you know. And then she had gotten a new line given to her by her dad.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Zaidi Mzomba. And one time she walks and says, Lenah, how do you do hizi mambo zenyu za muziki? Si upanga. Now, all of us, we used to rely on Kaberere.
Kaberere was the plug, yeah.
Man, Kabs.
Yeah.
We used to rely on Kaberere. Yeah. Because Kaberere is the one who would make sure he's coordinated us, you know. Na Kaberere alikuwa ameamka mapema. The guy had a pager.
Yes.
This generation, they don't know what a pager is.
Hey, man.
I mean, so he's the one who would be able to coordinate with you, coordinate with us, to meet time plan, you know, do all these things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was such...
I don't think people understand how difficult it was for us to be able to coordinate these things.
Very difficult.
There's one time you guys, you and Kaberere, you were going for a mission to a school Ukambani.
Yeah.
In Mitaboni.
Yes.
And we had 2 tops.
Yeah.
That were not heavy.
Yeah.
But you and Kaberere, mlikuwa na ma 3 hizi.
Yes.
Alafu hizi speakers ilikuwa ni 110 watts.
Yes.
So umechukua ma 3.
Yeah.
Lakini kulikuwa na
ka step down.
Ka step down.
Yes.
Kalikuwa kazito.
Kazito sana. Kazito kushinda speaker.
Alafu inakukata.
Because you have to carry it.
Yeah. And I remember mkienda hii mission, mali mlidropiwa na ma 3.
Yes.
Was like a kilometer away from...
Oh, boss. I mean, iko huko ndani mazi. Now, I don't know why cows make their school somewhere deep in the forest. You know, if it were in Kiambu, the schools are somewhere...
Just by the road.
By the road.
Yeah.
Easy. They were fine. And then you remember we went for that mission? We left the step down there.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Which
then
Kaberere had to go back and get it.
I mean...
Yeah.
You know, by then we didn't have the courier services or something.
Bro, we didn't have vehicles. We had to depend on friends to help us with cars.
We didn't. I remember your first car. How much did you pay for the down payment? 5,000 or something.
Yeah.
And the car was worth almost 300 something. And the guy is thinking, boss, unataka kununua gari kama mkate. No, I mean, but for me, you know those stories. I always tell people, I mean, those were stories of faith.
Yeah.
You can imagine you had 5K. And you're taking it down there as a down payment.
Yeah.
And now that car was the first ministry van.
Yeah.
Because I remember some people would go with it. You were dropped, then it comes back to pick other people.
It was a 5-seater.
Oh, man.
Kalika station wagon.
Nakajua.
Oh, man.
KDX.
Oh.
Now, you see, we have the resources, but I don't know, man. And my question has always been, I mean, I don't know what we can do.
Yeah.
I don't know how we can work out this.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy. It's no longer impact Moz. Because those days you'd meet people that would say, Moz, I remember you came to my school. That's when I received Christ.
Yeah.
I still meet people whenever I travel. I still meet people. Hata kwa flight.
Yeah.
Say kusalimia, ni mbaba sahi, ni mama. They say, hi, are you Lenah? You look like, I say, because I didn't have specs, you know.
Yeah. And you had dreadlocks those days. Yeah.
So then, I mean, as you're talking here, someone would tell me, you came to Egerton University. You came to Moi Eldoret.
Wow.
You guys and K Crew.
Yeah.
Hey. There's one guy who even told me, you remember when Andy was hosting you? It is in my room that you guys came to eat.
Oh my
before you went to
That's an
sleep.
Egerton, man.
Imagine.
Yeah.
So it tells you that there was impact. There was tangible impact in the ministry we did.
I remember that mission that we went to at Moi University.
Yeah.
Daddy Owen came with us for that mission.
Yes.
It was one of his most uncomfortable one because we taught him how to do one-on-one evangelism.
Yes.
Na akaenda kufanyia hivyo. Sasa hizo Daddy Owen alikuwa anajiona yeye ndiye alikuwa kama celeb.
Sana. Unajua hata hakuwa celeb. You know, Owen had just come in. Yeah. So he was really excited ile. Unajua sasa sisi unajua tulikuwa magwiji.
Owen saa hizo mazao kina Nashville.
Yeah. I mean, and it was really among their first missions to come with K Crew.
Yes.
So I think they were really excited, and I think he had a few songs that were
because at that time he had Shilingi ya
Kenya. Yes.
Alikuwa bado na one day mako ametoa
one day maikuwa I think haijalishi also.
Alikuwa na haijalishi. He had a couple of
then he had that song that was like I think it was a Spanish song. You remember that Spanish song, Baila Baila something? But now his Spanish sounded more like Lunje. Because he was doing some course in tourism and whatever. So Owen alikuwa anatuhangaishaje na Kispanyola. Yeah, so he was really excited, but because I remember by then, of course, there was us guys. Kiki was doing well. DNG was also doing well, but for a short while before he switched. Sheila. Yeah. Sheila was with us. Then who else was
we
there?
Had A-Star.
A-Star was just coming in.
Yeah.
In fact, the other time I was talking to A-Star, he told me that, you remember there's a concert we did at Bapo?
Yes, the first TSO.
Yeah. And A-Star was there.
That's what he says.
Yeah, and he says, Maze, I was looking at you guys and thinking, oh my God, when will I...
when will I be like those guys? Yeah.
But you see, for me, that really encourages me because that kind of inspiration and A-Star comes on board and you listen to the kind of content that A-Star had.
Yeah.
Man, was amazing.
There was a depth of music that we had.
Crazy.
There was no doubt in terms of knowing that this is Christian. Inakujenga.
You'd outright. You just listen to it and know this is Christian song.
I miss that though. I really miss that from music.
Same.
Because for me, Lenah, I'm a product of music. And I'm never ashamed of saying that.
Yeah.
So even as Kubamba, we say the music is our language.
Yeah.
From day one.
Yes, I know.
That has been what God has allowed us to be able to use as a tool of influence.
Yeah.
So music means a lot to me. And when I think about the content that we put out, just like you, sometimes I'm like, man, we have a good vibe.
Yeah.
But what we really need to think about is the content that we are carrying.
Yeah.
And maybe we need to ask ourselves, why are people listening to music from TZ?
Correct. Well, I don't know. 2 days ago, I was talking to someone and I told them that apart from people listening to music from TZ, one of the things I've discovered, and by God's grace, I travel a lot in East Africa now.
Yeah.
I've discovered that everybody in East Africa, their main target is always to make it in Nairobi.
Wow.
Yes. Is always to make it in Nairobi. So if your song is hard in Nairobi, then you'll make it.
Yeah. This is their biggest market.
This is their biggest market.
Yeah.
You understand? And not only, I mean, it's not only Tanzanians, even Nigerians. Yeah, even Nigerians. They're always they're pushing to make their music known in Kenya. Even preachers. Ask yourself why every other time
all these guys are coming
Nigerian
here.
preacher.
Yeah.
Now, the only issue I have with that, and it's not personal, but I think that relationship should be symbiotic. In this way, Moz, if I'm coming to your house, can you also allow me to come and stay in your house? That way, we will build a healthier community, and we will also bring in the best practices.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, if it were not now maybe where the music has gone now, in the yesteryears, these guys would not have a space even in the gospel.
It's very true.
In this country. I mean, we would consume. I mean, look at Henry Motuko.
Oh, wow.
Listen to her music. Listen to the writing.
Yeah.
Because for me, I always think Henry Motuko is one of the best writers.
That album is still relevant today.
Today.
One of the best gospel albums.
One of the best. Well written, well sung. You understand?
Wow.
And content, I mean, the same content is what now TZ are giving us just the other day.
Yeah.
Because TZ, for the longest time, it was choir.
Yeah.
Until they looked on this side and they realized, Allah, this is how these Kenyans are doing this music. Single artist, very well organized, and it's nice. Listen to Jemima Thiongo.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to her words. Listen to her the tune.
Simple.
Listen to the message.
Yeah.
I don't see any difference with what Christina Shusho or these other guys are doing. Yeah. It's not any different.
Yeah.
But now let me ask you, how many of our Kenyan artists, gospel artists, go to Tanzania to minister there? How many are invited there?
Yeah. I actually had a conversation with a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And basically talking on the same and asking, where's the reciprocity? Yes, to know I invite Harper, but are you inviting us in your spaces?
Exactly.
You want to be part of our music, but are you allowing us to be part of your music?
Exactly.
And that's not happening. It's very imbalanced.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a way that the government here talks about unfair trade practices.
Correct.
And this is one of those where we should ask ourselves as a gospel music ministry, where where you are in my country and we embrace you guys and we love you.
Correct.
But you're not responding the same way.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're not.
So we're not able to learn from one another. It almost becomes ni kama mazee sisi mnakuja tu kudishi kwa hao yetu.
Mnatuachia vyombo tuoshe. Unawezea. But you see, I mean, anyone who's going to watch this podcast should not take this out of context.
Yeah. It's
not, because someone might now misunderstand this to mean that we hate our neighbors.
No, that's not what we're saying.
That's not what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're just saying that we also have gospel musicians that have the ability to bless your people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also, can we do the same?
Invite them in your space.
I mean, if you don't want the hip hop, because also this culture that we had, like the rap kind of thing, I've not yet seen Tanzanians.
In the church circles,
maybe they are there.
Yeah.
But even if they are there, they are not as big as we have them on this side.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. And so what needs to happen is you can take someone like Pete, not Pete, Pitson. Yeah, Pitson would fit very well.
In fact, I cannot wait for the day Pitson and Joel Luaga will do a song together.
Oh, really?
Because they sound very similar.
Yes,
like the first time I heard Joel Luaga song, I was like, is this Pitson?
Yeah.
Then I was still, no, it's a guy called Joel Luaga from Tanzania.
And Pitson is also a great writer.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And I remember Pitson many years ago when us guys were doing K-Crew.
What?
Pitson walks up to me and say, Maze, mi naitwa Pitson. Mi waga naimba, nacheza guitar.
Nikicheza ka guitar.
And you see, people think Pitson just came from I mean, just came the other day.
Yeah.
Pitson has been there. He did the first album, which did not do very well.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a group called Brothers Under God's Grace.
Yeah, Bags.
Yeah. But you see now, there are some names that will not push you very far. Bag. You know, bag.
Their branding was wrong.
Their branding was wrong. But you see, Pitson has been there.
For a while. Yeah. Actually, used to be with another guy, Zangi,
yes. No, it was Zangi. There's another one who's a Pasi called Zedix.
Samukat.
No, Samukat now was their close friends.
Okay.
So I think because, the association by what you're going through.
Yeah.
So they were all trying to...
Took me a while to reach association by what you're going through.
By what you're going through. So
let's band together.
So I mean, they were really close, and then they also had a ministry together called Fog Night, Friends of God.
Oh wow!
So Pitson and all these guys would go and minister there.
Wow.
Then after a while, of course, someone once told me that 20 kids cannot play together for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Which means at some point in life, everybody will have to take their own route.
Path. Yeah.
And it's nothing bad with that. Mm-hmm. It's just part of life and part of growth.
Yeah.
So people went their different ways. Mm-hmm. But Pitson still stuck with music.
Yes.
So he's also a very good writer. Mm-hmm. And his kind of music would actually work well in TZ setup.
Man. He has such good music.
Very good music.
Such good music. I mean, we have Evelyn, we have...
Evelyn Wanjiro, we have Masimasika.
Masimasika.
Masimasika is also an old guard.
Yeah, Alice Kimanzi.
Alice, where is she, man?
She's still there. She's still releasing music.
Alice Mazea, Gona Harmony, and very
gifted vocally.
Sana.
Her husband is an amazing producer as well. Gideon.
Alice Kimanzi is bad news.
Bad
news. Bad news in good news. Yeah, she's bad news in good news. Yeah.
You can say she's a bad girl
listen
in
to
a
her
good
songs.
Way.
Yeah, worship, whatever. And Gideon Kimanzi, that's a great pair. Gideon is an awesome producer.
Wow.
You remember the days of Shtuko?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, that's exactly, I was just now reminiscing about those days for...
Devin, his idea.
Man.
So he's able to do it.
Yeah.
And for him now, he doesn't have, they don't have to deal with that with a lot of pressure because the husband can comfortably come, balance the mics, do the mix out. The
husband will do everything.
Will do everything.
That's it, man. And she's doing amazing work.
She is. I saw she released a new song recently.
Yeah, man. She has such good music, Bana.
Yeah, Sana.
Alice Kimanzi, may I respect her. Absolutely, man. Because she's also been very consistent.
Sana.
And speaking of consistency, Lenah, from the first... I remember my first encounter with you.
Yeah.
At Nairobi, it was a camp for Youth for Christ.
Yes.
At in Ronga, at Multimedia University.
Yes. Generation 21.
G21.
Yes.
This was like in 2000.
Yeah, 2000, yes.
It was in 2000 December.
Yeah.
It was I was 1 year in the faith. And then there was this amazing youth camp that had been put together. It's the only one of its kind I've ever gone to.
By Don Osman.
Don Osman and Youth for Christ. He was the head of Youth for Christ Africa at that time. And it was also my first time to meet Kaberere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was my first time to meet Kaberere.
Yeah.
And, then, unajua Kaberere alikuwa na kierere. Lazima ungejua Kaberere.
Kaberere was Peter.
Yes.
You know Peter?
Alikuwa na Peter.
Peter, the Bible guy. Ule wa Yesu.
Ndio huyo Kaberere.
Ni Kaberere kabisa. Always tell guys, Peter and Kaberere.
Same.
And
they're both called Peters.
Kabisa.
Yeah. And so I remember that time, and you were not given the platform to go and perform.
Yes.
But I appreciated I looked at you guys, you worked so hard behind the scenes. You guys were serving.
Yes.
Alafu kuuliza mazee nasikia, I think ulikuwa unaingia form 4 saa hizo.
Naingia form 4
the following year,
2001.
Yeah. Kaberere alikuwa form 3, alikuwa form 2.
Kaberere alikuwa form 4.
Alikuwa naingia form 4 the following year pia. And you guys were in high school.
Yeah.
But you were young.
Yeah.
And I was like, I cannot believe that these young guys who love God, yani.
Yes.
And for me, the pleasure of being able now to, after you guys finished high school, walikuwa Pakisa hizo.
Yes.
Kaberere alikuwa Aga Khan. After you guys finished high school, that the same passion that you had for Christ at that time, it has continued to date.
Yeah.
In fact, for Kabs, to his final moment.
Yes.
And I was absolutely blessed to be able to work with you guys as Jogg C. Because I was like, man, hasa unajita Jogg C na watu chop.
Yeah.
You know, mi hata sikuwa najua watu chop ni nini saa hizo.
Yeah.
But your passion for Christ and your zeal has continued today. So I have absolutely loved the consistency. And now I want to talk a little bit about Jogg C.
Yes.
Vile mlianza mazina watu chop ilikuja namna gani.
Okay.
You know. Because, and I'll tell you something about your music. Yeah,
yes.
Go on.
Okay, so what happened is, this is the year 1997.
Wait?
So 1997 had just done my KCPE. Now, so those of you who think, because I have white hair, I'm very old, I didn't do CPE, I did KCPE. And so my dad comes and tells me, nataka kuona ile kitu umepata. Ukianguka, unaenda nyumbani kulima.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons, I always tell people, that is one of the reasons why young people were not embracing agriculture. Because it looked like it was punishment.
Yeah.
It is only later than people realize, you can make money through this thing.
But it was punishment.
It was punishment.
If you're in high school and you do something wrong, punishment was take.
End of ulime.
Yes. Yeah.
So so we are in the December period. And you see, those days, it was so nice because the results would take a long time before they come out. Yeah. It's not like the days of Matiang'i, you finish and next week.
The exam results are out.
Yeah. So I'm walking home in Dandora.
Yeah.
So there was a crusade happening, and that's when I received Christ. And initially, I was receiving Christ, zile za, Yesu sasa utaniokoa. Because those words are trauma to me. You know?
Yeah.
So after receiving Christ, I remember that guy who was, that was 10th of December, 1997. And the guys who were preaching, he said, go, nenda kwa kanisa ambaye wanamhubiri Yesu. I didn't know which kind of a church is that.
Yeah.
But there was one of my neighbors, my mom's friend. So my mom says, my son has come back home and nasikia ameokoka. So the lady tells my mom, that's a very good decision. And she brings me all these tapes, akina Kiande, Munishi, you know, all those tapes.
Wow. Munishi now ilikuwa send gospel music sasa.
Gospel. She kaskia easy. So after that now, she's the one who leads me now to Gospel Revival Center in Dandora.
Yeah.
So the first Sunday, I move into that church. And then I get into the main church and someone stops me and says, there's a church for younger people on the other side. So I walk in there. And when I walk in there, guess who the first person I see?
Kaberere.
Peter, Anthony, Kahora, Kaberere. And Kaberere had a guitar.
Yeah.
And he would play a few tunes here and there together with our sons, my former bishop's son, he's called Sifa. So they had a teens class and Kaberere was part of the worship team.
Yeah.
And there were guys who were singing. So by all this time, I've always loved music. So I sat there for like a month or two. Because bado nasoma rada. And then Kaberere, the way he is, he comes and say, hey, what's your name? Nini. So I tell him, naitwa Lenah, I stay huku, hivi. And then there's Alphonse. I think you know Alphonse.
I know Alphonse.
Yes, Alphonse. Alphonse was a member of that church. So he says, guys, I'm going to do a rally. And I need you young guys to come and help me. Refreshments, planning, and whatever. But then he says, I also need you guys. See, you can come up with something so that you present on that day.
Yeah.
So by then, Vine is also in the same church.
Yeah, New Vine. Yeah.
And there was a lady called Phyllis, which people don't know that we had a lady in our team. So quickly, I get another guy and I write the lines and I give him.
Yeah.
It's called Jack. I tell Jack, we kuja tutaperform na we rap. So Kaberere had a different worship team. I do the rap thing. But this guy had a heavy tongue. He could not be able to spit out the words.
Yeah.
So after that, Kaberere comes and says, mi siwezi rap, lakini naeza imba. So if you don't mind, we can work together. Because nimeona, we unaeza rap.
Yeah.
Then after a while, Vine also comes in and says, na mi naeza imba. Now, Kaberere was really gifted with the voices. Like Kaberere, if there's anyone who knew how to arrange music, is Kaberere.
Wow.
Two people, Kaberere and RK.
RK.
That's why for me, it's even hard to do solo projects because I'm yet to find a producer that really understands what I do. Because RK, you'd get in and you get on the booth and you tell, no, that's not your song. Samu, ingia. He knew everyone.
Yeah.
What you are capable of doing, where he needs you and all that.
Yeah.
So long story short, so we asked ourselves, so who are we? So we thought of those English names. We said, Apana. This was the sound poa. So me and Cabs by then, me and Vine, and Vine all the time we would do practice. Vine would always rap in Luo. And he was really good.
Yeah.
Now, also, remember by that time, there's the influence of Gidi Gidi Maji Maji and the Kalamashaka. Is happening at the same time. Around 98, 99, 97 there. I think 97 is when they did Tafsiri. So 98, they're picking up with other songs. So those are the major influences we had.
Na ni wase wa D.
Ni wase wa
Dando.
Yes, ni wase wa Dando. So we come up with a list of names, bana. Mingi sana. Then I say, let's do Jogg C, because Jogg C means people of, and then C would stand for Christ.
Oh, Jog in Luo.
Yeah. Jog doesn't mean like jog to lose weight. Yeah.
So by this J-Kone revelation.
So I said, then Cab says, Aposa. So, and Vine agrees. So that's when officially now we started the group.
So Jogg C means people of Christ.
People of Christ.
Oh, man. That's so deep.
Yeah. So that's how we started. So now, when we started now, we were so excited. We thought like, you'll start today, tomorrow you're in the studio, your songs are being played.
Yeah.
Boss, we didn't know it's a journey. So what happened is everybody, now Kaberere had the skill to write. I had the skill to write. Vine was ish, but he was really good to write the verses. But Kaberere would do most of the choruses, and the tunes, and also overall just listen to the songs and say, change here, and all that. So then we went to our church and we said, okay, now we want to do an album. We even came to KICC. We asked for the prize to hire plenary hall. Those days it used to be called plenary hall.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
If you were told the figure, we said, ini pesa mtoto. So we went back to church and we do pledge forms.
Yeah.
So we were writing songs and trusting God will produce as opportunities come. So we had so many songs. Even now, we still have a book where we write all the songs. Some we never even released.
Got to record,
because our idea was we record so many and then we'll choose which ones go to the album.
Yeah.
So I wanted to tell guys now, so I told them the first album should be The Arrival, like Tumefika.
Yeah.
Like, it's the journey, ndio sisi hawa. So Nuvain coined it to Wase Chopo. Wase Chopo is Tumefika.
Ni ya Kiluo pia?
Ni ya Kiluo. So, because Vine always, in Luo, there's this thing that whenever you travel, back in the day, so someone will tell you, Moz Kichopo Tindik, yani ukifika, write a letter to let us know.
Umefika.
Because those days there were no cell phones.
Yeah.
So Vine coined that from that. Whenever you'd send someone off to a journey, you tell them, ukifika, andika.
Yeah.
And Vine, most of the time, would go to a place, you'd make a call and say, Wase Chopo,
Tushafika.
We understand?
Yeah.
So Ndoch, there's a guy now says, Indio nini sasa? Ini watu chopo.
See Wase Chopo.
Then now by then also, you see now music was gospel music was being done from the urban side.
Yeah.
Which means we are looking at Akina Izoga Tembo, Akina...
Aizo was Broke Chains. That's my jam. That was my first introduction to Aizo.
Chains to Break. All these guys from Glory Tabernacle back then.
There's a guy called Brian
Lusambili.
Yeah.
He's in the States. Yeah, a couple of other...
MCLC, yeah.
So, because we would leave Dandora and go all the way to
Glory Tabernacle,
to watch Maze. We saw one concert, these guys were getting on the stage with motorbikes.
Wakina Big Ted there.
Wakina Big Ted rap community.
Yes.
Because what are we doing? We saw the Packans. You remember the Packans? We didn't have moving heads.
Yes.
It was just Packans.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this, I'm saying, Ndioi.
Wow.
Ndioi. This is what we want to see.
Yeah.
And So after that, we started doing the funds to be able to do the album. So those guys say this is Watuchopo.
Yeah.
Then now I realized that it was very hard to penetrate in the gospel market, in the gospel ministry, because nobody knew us.
Yeah.
And the guys who were doing this were you guy, my guy.
Yeah.
Now us guys are from Dandora.
Yeah.
Kizungu sio yetu. Si yetu.
Yeah.
So we thought, why don't we leverage on the fact that we have a lot of youths in our church?
Yeah.
So whenever we went for an event, we would come with our own crowd.
Hey. Watuchopo sasa.
Yes. So our own crowd was so energetic that at the end of the day, you will tap into that energy.
Yeah.
And that's how now people started wondering,
clever.
who are these guys?
Yeah.
Who are these guys? Who are these guys?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a concept in Pamoja 99, there was a concert.
At KCC.
And I mean, we'd gone there to watch the Safari guys.
Yeah,
we were there. And I realized by then there was this.
And there was a reggae group called Temple Yard as well, I think, who came for that concert as well.
There's
a reggae group called Temple Yard.
Yes. So there's this. By then there was Poxy Pressure.
Yeah.
And many people did not love Poxy Pressure. I don't know for whatever reason. Because maybe for what he stood for. I can't speak for him.
Yeah.
But even the reception at the stage was not good. He was booed. People threw stuff on him. But I realized something with this guy. On the ground, he had like 20 young men with T-shirts branded Poxy Pressure.
Yeah.
And they were selling his tapes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And guys would buy the tapes.
Guys were buying his tapes. You're booing him, but there are guys buying his tapes.
Yeah.
We also bought his tape. So that is the idea that I had in mind. So I came and talked to these guys in the teen class and said, boss, anytime we have an event, tuendageni pamoja. Yeah. And I mean, they really helped us a lot.
I remember going for a concert. This was still my very initial years as a Christian.
Yeah.
And I think Mkuja could perform. Was there a restaurant called Silver Spoon? And they had a gig over there on a
Sunday afternoon. It used to be every Sunday afternoon.
Every Sunday. And I was trying to remember the name of Cairo used to put the event together.
Yes, Rhymes of Redemption.
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
And so I went for that gig and you guys were performing.
Yes.
And I was like, I knew you guys from G21.
Yes.
But now I was like, hawa sio kuna ngoma na kuna mbogi najua ngoma zao.
Na sisi hatuwajui.
Sasa ndio naelewa.
Because now, I mean, like in church, we used to present every Sunday.
Wow.
And for us, it was part of practice.
Yeah.
Because these guys would come and say, hapa bado.
Yeah.
And then now we had a lady who was a sister to one of the Kalamashaka guys. So she would bring us any release from Kalamashaka, we would have it first.
Wow.
Yeah. So we would listen and listen to the bars, listen to the flows.
Yeah.
Because when you have a dream, you must find people who are already fulfilling that dream.
Yeah.
So that you are able to match up to that dream. So that is how that is how it happened.
Yeah.
Because people at Silver Spring were wondering, ni akina nani?
Yeah.
But ni watu wetu.
Yeah.
But then after a while, wasi wanaanza to get into that energy.
That's it.
Because baada ya hapo you find people asking, who are these guys again?
You know the other day, Lenah, I was flying to UG for a meeting.
Yeah.
No, I was going to Cape Town for a meeting.
Yeah.
And on this flight, this guy comes and says hi to me. And his face looks familiar.
Yeah.
I just can't place him.
Yeah.
He works with Kenya Airways.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the guy's called Steve.
Yeah.
And he's like, Moza unijui lakini, maybe unakosa kunikumbuka lakini mimi nakukumbuka.
Whoa.
Mimi nilikuwa Mtuchopo.
Allah. He works with KQ.
He works with KQ.
Allah.
And he still identifies himself.
Oh, Steve. I know him. Yes.
Yes, he still identifies himself.
Yes, I know Steve.
As Mtuchopo.
Yes.
It was like a movement.
Yeah, man, it was massive. Like a few years ago, like 2 years, we met.
Yeah.
We had a meeting and we visited one of us. I mean, we were like 60 guys with our kids and everything. And so people were wondering. So the neighbors asked him, so who are these guys? He said, these guys, we were with them in the teens class.
Yeah.
Yeah. because you know Ndoch, that a small guy.
I remember Ndoch, yeah.
Tunamuitaga mzee wa busara.
Ndoch yule mmoja wa when Maisa.
Apana, wa tuchopo wetu.
Oh my
God. He's a you know him. I'll show you his photo. Yeah, so we were meeting at his place in Utawala. I mean, everybody came in, and
that's good family,
we also had
good community.
We had our Sunday school teachers coming in.
Yeah.
One has passed on. So unfortunate.
Yeah.
Also Kaberere and a few of us also have passed on.
Yeah.
God rest their souls in peace. But it was really good just seeing some are anchored, some are fallen, but the brotherhood,
the relationship is
still there.
Your album Reality
Tembe, yes,
was one of those life-changing albums for me. You probably don't know this, but when you guys released your song Nampenda Bwana,
yes,
Nasibadilishi,
so
you remember there's a time I moved from Kangemi where I used to live, and I went to stay in Feather Estate.
Hey boss, I remember that house, man. You guys were our marking scheme.
Hey bro,
honestly Maze, I know it was a stretch for you guys.
Bro.
Yes, I know it was
a massive stretch.
It was a stretch, but Maze, I mean, we really looking up to you guys.
Nilifikisha elasticity limit. Ile ningevutwa zaidi Maze ningekatika. Yeah. Because for the estate was a good house.
Yes.
It was a great place. It was
not
bedrooms.
Crowded like now.
4 bedrooms, we're there. I have my own bedroom. Oscar has his. Shush has hers. Ashish has
and Kuku.
Yeah, alafu tuko na SQ.
Yes.
But that was such a difficult season for me.
Yes.
Because I didn't have much finances. And I couldn't go back to my folks and asking them to support me.
Yeah.
Even though every now and then I had to reach out. But I remember I used to make 7,000 shillings. And that's all I needed to survive for that month.
Whoa.
So 6,250 used to go to this house.
Yeah.
Hata sikumbuki kama nilikuwa na tithe bro. Ninge tithe ningeumia mwezi.
Ungeumia man.
Ningeumiza
ulikuwa tunaenda vako. Naambia God.
By the way, my comforting scripture.
Yeah.
Which God comforted me with this scripture was David eating that bread. So in the Bible it talks about how David went and ate the consecrated bread. Yeah. I was like, God, I have no plan B. Yeah. And for me, my conscience was at peace.
Yes.
But I thank God that he helped me be able to meet those monthly bills. But it got to a place where I was like, I can't live like this. So I left Feather.
Yes.
And I went to sleep in my sister's house. She had a 1-bedroom house.
Yes.
And now, of course, I couldn't sleep in her bedroom.
Yes.
But then I used to sleep on her couch.
Yeah.
Kwa sofa.
Wow.
And for me, it was the most peaceful time.
Yes.
But Kaberere gave me that song before you guys released. Na kanembia Moz usicheze ngoma kwa radio.
Yeah.
So I nisikiza maze ukuvi maze kwa radio. Guys are calling me for gigs and things like that. But they do not know maze internally, siko sawa.
Yes.
Financially, siko sawa. And when you guys released that song, I remember going back home and playing that song. You guys cried like a baby.
Whoa.
Because I was like,
yeah.
It was that moment I decided, and I have no plan B. Nampenda Bwana Nasibadilishi.
Yeah. There's no looking back.
There's no looking back. This is the journey. This is the route I've taken. This is the decision I have made.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to the world.
Yeah.
My life in the world nilikuwa na do mob. But this is the decision that I've made with Christ. That song, you probably do not know this, but that song, Lenah, ilinifanya nimekio commitment ya kusema maze nampenda Bwana nasibadilishi.
Yeah.
Life may be difficult, but I'm not turning back.
I've made my mind.
I've made up my mind. Bro, I cried on my sister's sofa, yani.
Whoa.
Because life was difficult, but I was like, this, I'm going to hold on. I'm no plan B. Yeah. God, you're my plan A.
Yeah.
You're my plan B. You're my plan C. Yeah. It's either you come through or you come through, but hapa mimi si banduki.
Yeah. Just facing forward.
This is it for me.
Whoa. But even that song, we didn't pay for it. No, we didn't. You remember Oscar? Man, mad respect for Oscar.
Oscar Rigi, yeah.
Oscar Rigi taught me so many things. One was time. 2, whenever you went to a meeting with Oscar Rigi, you must carry a pen
and a notebook.
That was the standard. Kama hakuna meeting. Na atakuacha akijoke tu. Takwambia now, you guys, we are not having a meeting. Can I offer you anything? Then we go. Secondly, Oscar would take us to those high-end restaurants. Ajua silikuwa tumezoea chai na mandazi 10 bob. Then mse anakuambia chai 30 bob. Maze kwanza unaangalia hiyo kikombe. I mean, it wasn't making sense. Wow. But you see, that kind of exposure also brought in a new world for us, where you saw world beyond Dandora. Yeah. I mean, we started, and that's why I'm saying you guys were marking scheme for us. Because I remember, I mean, we would come to Feather. I mean, unakaa kwa kiti hivi unasikia ni kama hata wewe ni mchafu. Because you're looking estate yenyewe bana. Estate to, you know, nowadays they didn't have all these funny buildings that, you know, now if you go to that place, I don't think you can remember that place.
I'm like, this is completely
so
different.
Crowded, and people build the way they think. It's not even organized like back in the days.
Yeah.
But I remember, because I know there are many times we came for concerts late. We could not go home. You remember?
Yeah.
So we'd be distributed. Lenah, we unaenda kulala kwa Timo. Wewe, nyinyi mnaenda Feather. Who is going the farthest? Who is going that direction? I mean, that's how
we used to do it, man.
Yeah, because it was late. And I mean, Dandora, ikifika time flani by then, going there is committing suicide. It was bad.
It's true.
Yeah. But now you see, it was you guys. You see, the same way you're saying, we are encouraging you. You were also encouraging us, even though you had your own struggles.
Yeah.
But guess what? Us guys were looking at it and thinking, this is the lifestyle we need to have. You know? And Kaberere would always have this, he would just say, well, tutumike tu. I say, tutumike.
Yeah.
You know? And he was really a servant.
Yeah.
In all aspects. So you're listening to us and you're saying, hey, you're blessing me. But us guys are also watching and seeing this. And you're saying, I mean, we can get to these levels.
Yeah.
So I think it was encouragement in both ways. Yeah. Because without you guys opening those spaces to us, we wouldn't have believed anything was going to be possible beyond what we saw. Yeah. And I even remember, I always tell guys, man, I have mad respect for Moz. Because I remember when we were doing Umeokoka, I think you'd come from, you had traveled or something from the UK.
I'd come from the US.
It was US?
Yeah.
To what? To something, man.
Yeah.
Mtu ashenda US to something. Umeenda Kantosweni. So anyway, Moz comes in, ameba hizi viatu mpya za red bana. You'd never want them. Zilikuwa bado zinanuka either kama sio New York hivi. Zilikuwa zinanuka Atlanta, Georgia. Safi with the kayelo red shirt hivi.
Yeah.
And mazee tunataka kudu video. And you're thinking mazee sasa dress, because where I came from, unaficha uchi ya uvai. I mean, we are so many. We are 6 of us.
Yeah.
And everybody needs to go to school, mouths to feed, you know. And then Moz says, Lenah, ebu come. Anaingia wardrobe. You give me that shirt, which was very new, and the brand new Timberland. The red band.
Nazikumbuka.
Nani yako ananijua mta? Nani yako ananijua? Yaani uko wasikia, honestly, hadi watu walikuwa wananisengenya. Anasema ule kijana anavaa viatu bei mbaya. Because number one, those shoes were nowhere. I mean, you could find them around. They were not in the shops in Kenya.
That's true, man.
They were not there, by the way.
And they were original.
They were original, mazi.
Wow.
Unaona? Na Moz akanipea nikaenda nikadu video nikamaliza nikamrudisha kanambia no. Those are yours now. Buddha. Kila Sunday.
Oh my God.
You see?
Yeah.
And for me, yani, hiyo ilikuwa what? There's something happening here.
Yeah.
There's something happening here.
You know, what I really did appreciate, Lenah, was, and even I try to encourage my staff members and I tell them this, that we came from different backgrounds and we were many, but somehow we were like a family. We used to look out for each other.
We were literally a family.
We used to look out for, I think, unajua vile ulikuwa unasema mazee, kuna ingine mazee mngekuwa nini by association. Kwa sababu vitu mnapitia.
True.
As in we had to bundle together because hakuna vile ningeenda niache beshte yangu nyuma.
Correct.
And we all used to do things together. We used to eat together. We would come and hata vile nilienda Waroko na tukiambia wase tukisema mkimba kuhusu Waroko bani tukuona.
No. People don't understand. But somebody was asking me, what do you mean by waroko banning? And I said, at that particular time, the only thing we had was the talent.
Yeah.
And also, let me say this about you is, I've also seen you to be very diligent. Diligent in this sense, when we were staying at Waroko, so there was you and Jugush also came in, and then there was me and Kaberere here, and then there was Sheila.
Yeah.
So, but I realized every time you'd wake up, you'd have like 1 or 2 hours, you're just doing your music, and then at night again, you'll be.
Yeah.
But you see, the DJs of today, they don't have that level of work ethics. They don't. I'm telling you. Hata catalog yake ya mziki, ana songs zingine.
Yeah.
Moz, I believe even today, if I ask you for a certain song, you have it.
Niko nayo kwa CD ama kwa nini.
Exactly, but it's somewhere there.
It's somewhere.
So that diligence, we also picked on it. So you remember now Akina Samu would come to our house, and we would have prayers, and then 2, we would have practice sessions.
Yeah.
Where we play our songs and we just sing them through.
This is now Jogg C coming together with gospel fathers.
Gospel fathers.
To form Zaidi now. Yeah.
You see, that level of work ethics, I also don't see it in this generation.
Yeah.
And I also don't see it even in the musician or even in the creative people in terms of the DJs. And they're not sold out to that level.
You can see nowadays, there's some kids who are bad news in terms of their DJing element is on another level.
Yeah.
And which is one of the things it's one of the things I've come to appreciate with some of the DJs that I've seen.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the other thing is just to say maybe their knowledge and their engagement with the scriptures.
Yeah.
Because your QT is important.
Very important.
But what I appreciated about the time that Lukuwapo Waroko banning was our doing life together.
Yes.
And sharing what we had.
Yes.
And the fellowship.
Yeah.
Like we'd meet on Thursdays.
Yes.
Every Thursday for prayer.
Yes, and fellowship,
reading the word.
Yes.
And just laughing.
Yeah, and rebukes. Yes.
Mi nakumbuka Juliani tulikuwa kama na wailing wall.
Yeah.
I would see guys going, just crying before God.
Sana.
Like by the time Juliani was writing his album Time Mentality, you could see that this guy has soaked into the word.
And he had also transformed. Because you remember when we brought Juliani.
You're the one who told me about Juliani.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Moz
says, Forces Academy.
Yes. And you say, can we get him now?
Yeah.
And so we went and took him. And he comes in and I think he had just done Jesus Gnosis or something like that. But you see, even by then when you were meeting him, he was still very rough. He was rough on the edges.
Yeah.
But you see, now what you're saying is after a while, you could actually see the transformation in this guy's life. In terms of comprehension of the scripture, even relationship with other people. Because you remember Juliani would be more isolated sana. Hakukuwa like, and sometimes it would be scary if you have someone like Velma here and you don't know Velma.
For those of you who do not know, Velma was one of the ladies in our crew.
Yes.
And she was very loud.
And big support team.
Oh, yeah.
Big support team. She could not sing, she could not nini, but she was a backbone.
That's very true.
And some people were really scared about Velma. Because of how she's loud.
But
when you get close to Velma, she's really a nice person.
Yeah.
And she would always make sure to Kienda Mission, she has some goodies, biscuits. Velma, God alimtumia kutuministia, man.
Small things, but...
So those consistent prayer life, as you're talking about them, they brought a lot of change.
Absolutely.
Big change. And for me, I think it's also part of what anchors you in what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a whole lot of guys who we used to sing with, now when they stopped singing, they are like confused. What do I do? Do
you miss Zaidi Muziki?
I do.
You guys were onto something, man.
I do, man. I do. Because you see now for ZYM, we were a family. We were a family. Like, mimi ungetaka kunipata every single day. Mi na Samu
mlikuwa pamoja.
Even the mom, whenever Samu had issues, angenipigia mimi. Naye bukuja.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Some would come. By then I was living, when my dad passed, now I had to leave Waroko and go back home to support, because now I was their firstborn.
Yeah.
And try and take care of the bills and my younger siblings. Some would still come to Lakisama, where I used to stay back then. Yeah, he would even be there for 3-4 days, and the mom would be like, sijaona Sam nyumbani, ambia mom tuko na yeye hapa.
Yeah.
And we were literally a close family now, beyond the music.
Group, yeah.
Someone that is always hard to understand that was Kera. Yeah, Kera alikuwaga tu dunia yake. Kera alikuwa dunia yake, but in terms of activity, unajua Kera akona vitu specific ye upenda tofauti sana na kila mtu. Yeah, but I really do, because I feel like especially the second album should have come out.
Yeah.
Then for us to separate, but of course, now America happened, and I also told you 20 kids cannot play together for 20 years.
Yeah.
At some point, people have to chart a course for their lives.
I know. Do you feel like America was a breaking point for the group?
I think so.
That trip because you guys were gone for a while.
Yes. I think it was. I think it was because that's where we kind of lost focus.
Yeah.
Because remember, we were young by then.
Yeah.
Because we went to America when we were 23, 24.
Yeah. Early 20s.
Early 20s. And, you've been there a couple of times. You know how the place is. And then you are that young. You've been there into 24 states. You've met different people. You've gotten all sorts of opinions and stuff like that. I believe it really contributed. Because immediately we went the first time, the mindset of the people had already shifted. So everybody was like, 20, everybody wants to go to that direction. Yeah. So it did.
I think that you guys had, I remember the motto for your team was watetezi wa kizazi kipya.
Yes.
Na mlikuwa mnajiita watetezi.
Yes.
And I use that now, when I'm talking to, like when I put a presentation together, I keep telling guys, we are that, we're those advocates for the new generation.
Yeah.
Watetezi wa kizazi kipya. And like your songs were so significant as well as Zaidi and Muziki, that you guys broke the ceiling. There's a ceiling was our gospel to court mekewa. But for you guys, you came and God used Zaidi and Muziki to break that
we
ceiling.
Ripped it apart. Man. Because I remember even in UG, we had concerts where we would be on the front page on the newspaper in Kampala.
Wow.
Yeah, we had. Because people later on, Exodus came here. I once was a ganja man.
Yeah.
When Exodus came here, when we went to Uganda, which was me, SK Blue, and Daddy Owen.
Yeah.
It was very tough by then. Yeah. Because, we got in there, we are big shots over here, and then wakatupeleka kwa a local school with no windows, mazi.
Wow.
Yeah.
To sleep there.
And then they're bringing you food in buckets.
Wow.
Hey. Chakula mazee ilipikwa saa 5 kabla ipitishwe huko kwa bodaboda ifike mahali mnafika imesha poa mazi. So we said hapa ni noma. So we had to changa some money. We rented a small room somewhere.
Yeah.
But that withstanding, we said we are going to do something that will make these guys change our status. Yeah. Because, we were going for Riot, that one for Kayanja. My friend. We got, and then, the way you used to do our music, put them together. We put up a show, crazy one. Wow. Immediately after that, now we got an invitation to Makerere University.
Yeah.
Sasa hapo ndio media houses sasa zikakuja. Wakasema there are some guys from Kenya. These guys are crazy.
These guys were
Exodus was singing in the choir. They were in another group. Yeah. So their youth pastor comes and says, what is it that these Kenyans have that you don't have?
Wow.
See how they're doing their music. And that's when there's a guy called Mugarura. I know Peter Mugarura. Left Uganda to come to Kenya to study how concerts are done in Kenya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys were so epic. Like your performance was electrifying. I remember the concert that you guys did your launch for the album for Zaidi and Muziki at JCC.
JCC.
Lenah. there are like 2,000 people singing with you guys
word for word. Yes.
Your entire album.
Yes.
With the like there's a grace and there's a favor that God had given you guys.
Yeah, sure.
That definitely was a huge blessing.
Sure.
To us as a country. And
man,
I miss that. I miss the group Zaidi Muziki, and you guys were so ridiculously gifted and you were so very versatile.
Yes.
So versatile.
Very.
The 5 of you were like on another level, man. And probably one of the best. What I also did enjoy about it was you were 2 groups who are popular by yourselves.
Yes.
Jogg C.
Yes.
And Gospel Fathers.
Yeah.
But saying, you know what? Let's do something bigger than us.
Exactly. And that's something that I find it very hard. With the people now, because there's a lot of ingenuity now. People can't trust each other. But you see, back then it was just, for us, we were like, you have your vibe kind of like sounds like our vibe. We are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's take it to the next level. And what people don't understand is that Jogg C and Gospel Fathers never became Zaidi Muziki. The album is what was called Zaidi Muziki. But now the thing became bigger than the 2 groups.
Yeah.
So guys now started referring to us as
Zaidi
Muziki.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. But the idea was, this is a project we are going to do. Your group will still remain, our group will still remain, but can we come together, do this project? Then you go back to Gospel Fathers, we go back to Jogg C. Time comes again, we can put our heads together.
Yeah.
But now when we did it, it automatically became...
You could not go back to being Jogg C.
You couldn't.
And they could not go back to being Gospel Fathers.
You couldn't. And you see, that's the only thing we only see in political circles. We don't see it in churches because everybody has that thing of lazima ikue yangu.
Yeah.
But when you die to yourself, that's when you yield into something bigger than yourself.
Unless a seed dies.
Exactly.
Unless a seed dies.
It abides alone. So that is what really happened. And so it became so big. Because us guys, we were like, people just start calling us, hey, we want Zaidi Muziki. We are thinking, we are Jogg C and Gospel Fathers.
Yeah.
But we want Zaidi Muziki. We want Zaidi Muziki. Yeah. And you remember those days, no church would pay you. No. It's not like today I'm hearing artists saying, mi nataka ita 5,000 yoni kuje. Back then, you're invited for mission, you go.
Yeah.
If someone is godly enough, they'll give you some fuel or whatever.
I like how you've said it, godly enough.
But Moz, how many times tulienda na tukatoka tu hivyo ile ya tumefanyia Mungu kazi.
Ni kweli.
Yeah, some people they don't have that consciousness but that's why sometimes I see even online people are bashing Bishop Alan Kuna and Reverend Kathy Kuna. But those guys really stood with us. People don't know their stories. Those guys really, really stood with us and believed in us.
I remember, yeah.
JCC was such a huge church. So to find a bishop like that standing with you in terms of you go to that church, you're given everything. Like even when we did our launch, they gave us everything in the church, free of charge. With the sound team and everything. Fanyeni huduma hapo. Their services, they would have us at JCC, sijui how many times. Whenever they had a conference, we would be there. And tungepewa kabasha. We would be taken to a room unatritiwa vifiti tu. Like any other guest who's coming to minister. Yeah. So you see, sometimes you can bash someone online, but you've never been close enough to them to see the kind of people they are.
Yeah.
It's the same way. Maybe someone would say, Moz is this, Moz is that, Moz is this. But they don't know Moz. They've never had a journey with Moz.
Yeah.
But me who's seated here and many others maybe who are not here today, they've had a journey with you and they know what kind of a person you are.
Yeah. When I think about your journey, bro, and just the opportunities that God has been able to present before you, and definitely know that Kaberere was one of those guys who, and it was a huge blessing to both of us, man.
Yeah, big.
From day one. And
big.
What's your greatest memory, and when you think about Cabs?
Yeah. I think for me, my greatest memory for Cabs was number one, Cabs also stretched my faith in so many aspects. And for me, the first time for me was to ever eat cornflakes. It It was at Kaberere's. Kwao nyumbani mazi. So ameniekea tu vitu tunalia ni kama mabop nasikia ambia buda sasa hii ukipiga unasikia uko. I mean it was me and Nuva. You know now maybe someone watching this it's normal.
Yeah.
But for me that's the first time I was getting into that space.
Yeah.
Where you could actually use milk in an ungodly way. I mean you're just putting it on conflict. You know that?
Yeah.
And the other thing is Kaberere knew how to deal with every personality.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I knew about Kaberere. Mm-hmm. He knew how to deal with every other personality.
Yeah.
But the most of all, Kaberere was very generous. I always say I've never seen a man as generous as Kabs.
Yeah.
Never. There's a time, in fact, we were seated like this. Me, Mr. V, Jay Arosto, Wamitulinga, Samu, Ken, Kera. And everyone was wearing something from Kaberere.
Wow.
Tulika hivi. Kila mtu alikuwa amevaa kitu moja ya Kaberere in 6 people.
Wow.
And Kaberere didn't have limits. He would give to even people he doesn't know. And like three weeks ago, we went to visit the parents. And the dad, Kaberere's dad, was telling me that he has a problem with Kaberere's son because he's exactly like Kaberere.
Wow.
He gives and gives and gives. Mpaka maticheo wanamuita wanaambia boss, hebu kuja. Ujamaa ataangamia.
Wow.
And that was Kabs for you. The other thing, Kabs was not insecure. He was not threatened by what you could do and he could not do.
Yeah.
So if there's something you could do, Kaberere would pull you to that space. Because I remember even the way I became the MC. Now I see they're calling themselves MCs. Yeah. MC who, MC who, hype man. I mean, now it's hype man.
Yeah.
We didn't have hype men. We had the MCs.
Yeah.
And by then, I was the only MC. And I took up from Gowi. You remember we were at Kabs?
Yes.
And Gowi was supposed to be.
Yeah. MC that.
And then Gowi didn't show up.
Yeah.
And Kaberere says, Lenah, unaweza do kitu. Because I would do it at church.
Yeah.
Lenah, unaweza do kitu. Enda. So I'm like, apana. Funny enough, Njugush is also talking to Nani huku. And I don't know if he also talked to you about it. And he's like, Lenah ku MC. Maybe before I realize it, I'm the MC.
But you're a ball of energy, Lenah. There's something that happens to you when you come in front of people, man.
Yeah, I know. I come alive.
You come alive.
I come alive, man. That's true. I work well with crowds.
Yeah.
I work well
and you're able to work the crowds as well.
Very true.
So
it's only that now energy, man, chini kidogo. But I can, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how I started. And you guys kept on believing in me. So I kept doing different events whenever we go to schools and stuff like that. And that's how I ended up being the MC for most of these major events that would come to this country.
Wow.
Yeah. Kaberere believed in me and he pushed me to the right people that would open greater doors for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, I mean, I would always remember about Kaberere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Kabs had such a significant impact for all of us. And I would never have met you if it was not for Kabs.
Yeah, sure.
We'd not be having this conversation if it was not for Kabs.
Sure.
And being able to do life together.
Yeah.
Like through the ups and downs, through the journey of ministry, I would not be sitting here if it was not for you guys and the impact that you had in my life.
Sure.
Even as you say, that I was a blessing to you guys. Yeah. You guys were such a significant part of my life. Yeah. And earlier on, I was saying about what I do appreciate about your life, Lenah, because you've been so consistent to date. That even after you stopped doing the music, you've not stopped doing ministry.
Yes.
You're still in this space, still preaching.
Yeah.
And now you're not just doing it in Kenya.
Yeah.
But I also do know that you also do work in Tanzania as well.
Yes.
But, just go ahead and tell, for the guys who are listening or watching.
Oh, yeah. So I think
because this is it's a great metamorphosis, so we can say it's a great evolution to see your journey.
Yeah. No, I think for me, really, I never knew I had ministry in me. I always knew I would do music because I love music, even to date.
But you're so natural. And ukiongelesha wase.
Now unisikia.
Daisy is here, who we've known for a long time, bro. Like we would go for high school missions and you would be so natural.
It comes,
You would be so natural talking to the students. If you remember, you go to a place where if we went to a high school and Lenah was there, we didn't even need to worry who's going to preach the gospel.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. So it also happened when we were in the States. So the team, we went to a church and we did ministry, and after that the pastor said, so after Meiba nani atahubiri? And of course Kaberere again, Lenah. So I started, and while I was doing that journey, that's when now I had that great conviction in my heart that God really wants me to do more into this.
Yeah.
Because remember, when I'd gone, I had purposed in my life that now I'm not going to come back, because that was the plan. So the plan was, for me, I was going to come back home, put a few things in perspective, and then I tell my family, sasa mtanivumilia tu kidogo, because I'll be gone for such a long period of time. And I remember we had the last concert in where Fresh used to live, in Boston. Yeah. 5 Show Street.
Yeah.
And there was a town there called Milton. So we had a concert in one of the hotels there. And then I met this lady from Zambia. So she calls us. We were ministering there. That was our last stop before we come back home. So after ministry, she calls me aside and says, God has invested so much in you, and he requires you to give it back to the other people.
Wow.
He's going to use you in ministry. So that's the first time. So when we go back, because Fresh was hosting us, akina Samu are like, hey, boss, we're in the home ubiri. And funny enough, Moz, at that particular time, the desire to live in the States literally left.
Wow.
It left completely. And I came back home. And when I came back home, I had a desire now to go to the Bible school. So I went for a short Bible school. I did a diploma in biblical studies for 2 years. No, it was a crash course that was supposed to be 2 years, but it was going for 6 months every day, Monday to Friday. So I did that. And then you see now the journey for ministry was really very tough, because it was challenging. Finances are drying up.
Yeah.
People are moving away. That moment where God really wants to deal with you as an individual. And at some point, I realized ikitu ni noma sana. So, of course, I had my wife that I'd dated for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So we married in 2011. Then in 2012, a friend of mine, a classmate, invited me to France. So I went to France with my wife. They were doing their wedding, so we were the best couple. And then after that, I decided, sirudi mtaa. Because ile shida nilikuwa nimeona mtaa ni noma.
Yeah.
So I told my wife tuingie Switzerland. Because hapa tukika France is not all that, by the way. Twende Switzerland is much better. So I went with my wife, stayed there for a while. And then this lady, woman of God, powerful, she wakes up one morning and she's like, me, I need to go back home. Hakuna kitu mimi nafanya hapa.
Wow.
I mean, there was that, that ka distress to, feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, ona upepo, ona maisha, ona pesa tunatumia, unaona sura ya mtu hapa. She's not seeing it, maze. So I told her, okay, you go back home.
Yeah.
And it is in that December 2013, I was seated near my window and looking outside, and it was snowing. And that's the first time I had a voice, like someone speaking at the back of my mind and saying, where I'm going to take you next, your dreads will be irrelevant.
Wow.
Yeah. And I cut them down. Na mimi sayo nisha convince wife akaeka dreadi.
Lakini wewe sasa.
So wewe jamaa amechizi ama ni nini?
Yeah.
You understand? I had it, and that's when I stopped putting on my
earrings.
My earrings. And then again now, I was so uncomfortable, Moses, staying in that country. So uncomfortable. So I go back home. While I'm going back home, I had like 4,000 euros when I was coming home. So I told my wife, okay, I'm going to buy like a small car. I'll be doing to transport up na pale, nikijua what is happening. When I'm flying back, God tells me, go and buy sound. So I went and buy sound to the last coin. So I just started preaching. I don't even know what I was preaching, but I was just preaching.
Yeah.
The little that I knew. So I just started preaching. And that's when now the desire kept growing and growing.
Yeah.
So I went to school again, Nairobi Pentecostal Bible College. I'm right now at Pan-African Christian University finishing next year. I'm graduating. So that passion just came. So in the process of all that, as I was working with another church, it's a long story, but we're just doing I met now Bishop Chola. And Chola knew me very well from lighting.
Yeah.
and Extreme Weekend and all that. So Caris, you know Caris?
Yeah, from
Caris, Count Me In.
Yeah, Count Me In, Dandora.
Caris had been helping him with my speakers when he was starting church.
Yeah.
So he tells me, hey, by the Bishop Chola anatafuta pasi. Na kama umetoka huku, come nikupeleke.
Yeah.
So he takes me out. We meet with the bishop and dinner and stuff, and we start to work with him.
Yeah.
So he gives me a class to teach. And then I teach that class, and he says, boss, your teaching is on another level. Wow. I'd love to work with you. So that's when he takes me, we work around here. Then now he sends me to TZ. So TZ, basically, we work with an organization called Good Works Now. It's an American organization. But under it, there's a section called Nations Training Institute.
Yeah.
So what we do is we work with pastors who have the calling, but they've never had an opportunity to go to a Bible school or are not literate enough to go to a Bible school, because there's a minimum grade you're required for entry. So we gather them, and then he has put these pastors have put, one of them is both of them are doctors. They have put a module that covers the key aspects of running a ministry.
Yeah.
So there is evangelism, there's finances, there's marriage, there's raising children, there's ministerial ethics, there's love, there's Jesus, there's interpretation of the Bible. So these are courses that if I teach you, you're able to run your church effectively.
Yeah.
Because running a church is not only about the call and the Bible.
Yeah.
No. You need to understand also the interpretation of the scripture, because some people interpret the scripture in a way that it messes up the message.
Like we were saying earlier, how like pastors abuse scriptures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. So it's a 16-month course, but we meet once a month for 2 days. So I went there, planted one, but now we have 9.
Wow.
In different areas in TZ. So then I've also raised up leaders. So we have other pastors that are now teaching.
Yeah.
So we always have a trainer of TOT. And
trainers
then we
of
do
trainers.
them. Yes.
Yeah.
Right now we are in Zambia. We started in Zambia. We are also in Burundi. We are getting into Malawi. So that's what we are doing. So far, we have graduated over 600 pastors from the same program. Yes. And healed over 175 marriages that were almost breaking because of ministry.
Yeah.
You know, pastor anasikia mimi nimeitwa na Yesu. You know, so they don't have time for the family. They don't have time for raising up their kids, you know. But they are forgetting that Christ, church, is the bride of Christ. It's not your bride. You have your own bride. So take care of your bride. And Christ will take care of
his bride.
Kila mtu ashughulikie bibi yake.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you
like
find it's because of just those small things. I mean, someone comes, they are in the mountain for 5 days. They come down from the mountain. They are coming to preach at K-Crew for 4 months. I mean, 2 days. They are from there. They're in Lenah's church for another.
So they've no time
days. They don't have time for kids. But once you teach them, because we have a very, very thorough module on marriage and raising kids.
Yeah.
Amazing. And these are some of the things also where I do when I get a chance to speak.
Yeah.
Because I always speak about the youth and I also speak about the marriages. Because I think that's where our major undoing is. In ministry is basically marriage and finances.
Yeah.
If we are not able to handle those, it becomes a mess.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But on this other side, the youth, because there are so many pastors who still don't understand the youth. They don't understand their language. They also don't understand their system and their thought process, how they process things.
You know, this generation.
Yes.
You know, but people sometimes they fail to understand how this generation works and how they, you know, what their thought process is.
Yeah.
But when you're talking, Lenah, I want to say that it's easy to see how God has continued being faithful and how you've also continued being faithful in the space that He's called you. One of the things that has just hit me, you know, is when you talk about what it is kizazi chetu, you can be one who's trying to do that.
Yes.
But actually God has given you the opportunity to be able to train other people who can continue with the work that God has laid in you.
Yeah.
So sasa you're not the only one mtetezi wa kizazi kipya, but you have all these other pastors that you're training, including how to be able to understand the young generation and how to be able to reach out to them.
Yeah.
The other thing that hit me as we're having this conversation as well is when you were with Jogg C.
Yes.
And you guys were thinking about doing the concert at
Plenary Hall.
At the Plenary Hall.
Is it Savo Ballroom now?
Now it's the Savo Ballroom.
Okay.
So those days you'd come up with these pledge forms that people could go ahead and give you guys money to do that. And I don't know if they did it at that time.
Yeah.
But fast forward.
Yeah.
When you guys came together as Zaidi and Muziki.
Yes.
And you wanted to
do the album.
Yes. And do the music videos.
Yes.
God did exactly that for you guys.
Correct.
He fulfilled that desire that you guys had.
Over and above.
Beyond your wild...
Yeah. I mean,
beyond our wildest dreams,
it was crazy,
man.
because you see, also the other thing is, I mean, the money came in cash and kind.
Yeah.
Moz, I mean, there are people who would go to concerts and they're saying, I'm buying you 2 t-shirts and 2 pair of jeans.
Wow.
They're not giving you cash, but you see now they've made the ministry move ahead.
Yeah.
But you see, even our Nini for RK, it was fully paid for.
Yeah. And the music videos as well.
Yeah, the music videos. You can imagine you're doing a video with Ogopa DJs.
Yeah.
Yeah. At 40,000 shillings. That was a whole lot of money.
That was like $1 million shillings today.
What were Jui, Maze?
Yeah.
What were Jui? So it's true.
Yeah.
And this is also, I mean, in all that I've talked, there are lessons that I always pick even through my journey.
Yeah.
And one of those lessons is, you see, when the Bible says, write down your vision. Yeah. I mean, we had it. It's only that time had not reached.
It was not the right time at that time.
I mean, we saw it.
Yeah.
We even saw how the Nini was going to be. The launch. I mean, we had it all in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember how many times you'd come back and we'd ask you, how is States? What is Nini? And then you remember that time you came, we were at Hilton Hotel. Was it in Texas?
Yeah. Oh, at Upendo Baptist. When we went to Upendo.
Exactly. And you were also in the States at the same time.
Yeah,
and we sat down and we were like, Moz, this thing we were talking about it, God
has made it happen.
Then we went to Sean Kunz's house. And there's a photo he had there of the 3 of us.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were just talking about all
It's amazing how God fulfills things.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. But you see now, you should not, if you're looking forward, don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't give up. Because the other problem I have with the current generation is, you know, I always tell people, even whenever I'm ministering, I tell people I've heard of Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Shammah, El Shaddai, but I've never heard of Jehovah Teke Teke. You know? And you see, Moz. And you see, that's the major undoing of our generation.
Yeah.
People are not patient enough.
Jehovah Teke Teke.
Yeah, people are not patient enough. And even someone who wants to get into ministry, like right now, people would want to have K Crew as their marking scheme, which is good.
Yeah.
But are you able to retrace their steps?
Yeah.
And see where did they start and how have they ended up where they are?
Yeah.
Because you see, I believe this, and I'm not a prophet. I believe this, that the pattern of your life can surely show us where you will end up. Yeah. So if you have a certain discipline in life and if you are faithful with whatever you had, you see, you had a small car DX and you are faithful. I don't believe there is a weekend that we were not out on missions.
That car was everywhere, man, for missions.
There was no weekend we were never out. Remember even the day we drove with you to Nakuru?
Yeah.
We were meeting the pastors' fellowship. They had an issue, us doing, and Bishop was it called? Marita.
Yes.
This guy of Kayamba.
Oh, man.
Was the one. You remember that meeting that was so heated and pastors are saying, Sasa nyinyi, ni nini mnafundisha watoto? And then the guy says, no, actually my daughter is a big fan of these guys. If she knew these guys are here, she would come here. And Marita said, no, let's allow these young people to do their ministry. Remember at Afra's Day?
I remember. It was chaos.
Yes, we were meeting a whole pastor's. It was
just before TSO.
Yes.
TSO Nakuru.
Man. And it was such a big issue.
Yeah.
I remember we drove with you to that meeting. Hey, I
didn't forgotten about it in the night.
Yeah, I think it was, your car was 3 KW 315 321
H, yeah. H. 021 H. Sorry.
021
That's
H.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I remember us guys driving because they requested us to be in that meeting that morning.
I remember,
And then they came with their collars and
Let's see these guys with t-shirts.
I know, with the dreads.
Earrings.
It was such a big issue.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So, but even with that, we were still faithful.
Yeah.
We knocked doors, some were closed, but it never stopped us.
Yeah.
So eventually, if you look at that journey, even me, I always tell guys, it's not magic that K Crew are where they are with the resources they have, the vehicles and whatever, and the team that is there right now. You get? Yeah. But you just need to talk to your guys. I should be receiving some pension.
That's true.
Don't pay me, but I need some pension.
For the work, for the labor of love. It's true.
And you remember there's some artists who joined. After a while, the money seemed like it was not coming. I want to mention them because it might make them look bad. But they jumped out. Jumped out.
Yeah.
But we still remained. And we remained so focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We never let the certain things we never allowed to come into. Into our space.
Exactly. And we were still faithfully.
That's true, man.
Doing ministry.
That's very true, man.
Faithfully. So you see, if you have that culture, eventually you can project and see.
Yeah.
In the next few years, this is where
the
you
guys
will
are going to be. Yeah.
If you don't have that culture, even in the next few years, you can see who you are to end up.
Clearly.
Yeah, because life is about choices.
Yeah.
And choices are paths that take us to a certain destination. So how you choose is not just about a choice. It's a path that you have chosen to take.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a path that you have chosen to take.
I like
so
that.
That's what I don't see with these many. Even DJs, even artists, they come to me every day. Probably even after this podcast. There's some that will reach out to me. Hey, nilikuona kwa podcast, baze, mi ni msanii, naitwa nani, Demon Crusher, Heaven Going. Okay, poa nipe ngoma. Askia, unawambia boss, you have the talent, but I feel like there's still a lot of work that needs to be done behind the scene.
Yeah.
Before you come to the forefront.
Yeah.
Because if you go with this right now, you will embarrass yourself.
True.
You might not even have a self-esteem after that. So, work on it.
Yeah.
It is there, but work on it.
Yeah.
And umemwambia nini ule aliniambia, so they'll go behind you, because they are even producers. Someone tells you, where have you recorded this song? Sijui which studio. How much was the recording? 2,800.
You won't get a good production, most likely.
Where will you get Moz? 2,800 for a beat. Sounds like someone went with a recorder at Juakali.
Yeah.
Pale study. It doesn't make sense. But you see, if you're patient, you can start with that, but just grow. Just grow.
Yeah.
Because what I always say is whenever you don't find an opportunity, use that time to build your capacity so that when the opportunity comes, you are ready.
That's for sure, man.
Yeah.
I can't even think of a better place to be able to wrap up the conversations, man. That's such a good valid point, Lenah. When you don't have an opportunity, work. Work, build your craft so that when that opportunity comes, you'll be able to shine. You'll be able to shine bright.
You are gone.
Bro, this has been good, man.
Thank you.
And the thing is, because of time, it's just that I know, we have such a limited time on the podcast.
Yes.
There's a lot of conversations because you and I have a lot of history because we've done ministry together for many years. You've been with me from the very foundation. Jogg C was the first group in K Crew to go for missions.
Yes.
So we were able to toil together, hustle, and go through the highs and the lows. But God has kept us going through this.
Very true.
So, bro, I celebrate you, man.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure,
bro. And I can't wait for you to speak again at the K Crew Bible study.
Yeah, sure.
You did that thing that we started as 9 guys.
Yeah. It's a small seed.
Yeah, and you can see where it's at right now.
And I remember, man, wanasemaga, there's a guy from TZ sang a song and say, Nipeni maua yangu.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why I've told you one of the things I've really learned about you is you've been consistent and very diligent. Moz, you had so many opportunities to switch, leave K Crew and do something else. Yeah. But I mean, every time I meet you, your heartbeat is still on K Crew.
Yeah.
When there are challenges, when there are no finances, you're still focused on that line.
Yeah.
And you're not wavering at it.
Thank you, bro.
Neither staggering at it. So I think it's a great thing.
Thank you, man.
And pokea maua yako for that.
Asante, man. And let me tell you, Lenah, and I'm not saying this to flatter you.
Yeah.
But again, it's because of you guys were there
to
encourage me. And the motivation that you guys give me just being around, because me, I don't have a church background. That's one thing I say. I went to church as a kid.
Yeah.
When I became a teenager, I stopped going to church.
Yes.
And so for me coming into the faith later on in my life, in my early 20s, there's a lot that I don't know about church. But having you guys there as a family, watching you and your commitment to the faith and how God was able to use you to deliver the word, you guys are the ones mlifanya nishikilie. And now, even after you left, you would bring on other guys like Akina MOG.
Yes.
So there was always
Mr.
a growth
V.
that was happening, Mr. V. There was always a growth that was happening. And right now, the privilege of being able to work with the guys who surround me today still motivates me. Najua siko peke kwa hii safari.
Yes.
And big shout out to my producer. And I said, well, we need to wrap up. Kate, she's young. She's like she's like 21.
Oh.
And being surrounded by other guys in her, her age, and the younger guys who are working with me today.
Yes.
It just motivates me to continue going. I mean, Shasema, to my last breath, God and His idea, I want to continue pouring into the lives of the young people.
Amen.
But guys, I want to say thank you so much for joining us for the podcast today. We've extended all the time, but Lenani, he's been with me through this journey for such a long time. And I hope that you've been blessed by the conversations, man. So please do go ahead and like, subscribe to Fadhali. If you can also go ahead and share the podcast together with your family and your friends, that would be absolutely great for us. But thank you so much for joining us on the conversations, Lenah. Nashukuru sana, bro.
Asante sana.
Sana bana. Sana tena sana.
Thank you, man.
And a big shout out to Waine for the nice coffee, kama kawaida, man.
Yeah.
Waine has such good coffee, man. Asante sana, bro. Tunashukuru sana bana. God bless, guys. Peace.